How Does Cancer Learn to Spread? A project from the JAX laboratory at the Koch Institute. Chapter 1. Metastasis. Cancer's deadliest weapon is its mobility. Some cancers that begin as stationary tumors can give rise to cells that break away, travel to distant parts of the body, and seed the formation of new tumors. This process, called metastasis, is responsible for as much as 90% of cancer-related deaths. But a key question remains. How are cancer cells able to actually accomplish this? How do they gain the ability to migrate, invade, colonize, and survive in other tissues? If scientists understood this process, they could develop more effective ways of stopping it. Chapter 2. Cracking Cancer's Code. The JAX laboratory works to understand how changes in DNA contribute to cancer. Dr. Monty Winslow, a postdoctoral fellow in the JAX lab, is searching for the genetic changes that allow some cancer cells to become metastatic. Chapter 3. Finding a metastasis gene. The lab began their search by comparing two classes of tumors in a mouse model of lung cancer, those that could metastasize and those that could not. After screening the expression of thousands of genes, they found a key difference between these two types of tumors. The gene NKX2.1 was expressed in non-metastatic tumors, but was almost totally absent from metastatic tumors. The researchers observed a similar trend in human lung cancer patients. Tumors with low levels of NKX2.1 tend to be found in patients with poor clinical outcomes, many of whom have highly metastatic cancer. Chapter 4. Cause or effect. One can think of the NKX2.1 gene as a single light switch in the human genome, a chain of roughly 25,000 light switches. The JAX lab had observed that the NKX2.1 switch was normally on, but was switched off in many metastatic cells. But the researchers could not know for sure whether this switch was actually controlling metastasis, and thus whether it was a potential therapeutic target. The only way to find out was to flip the switch and see what happens. First, the lab took metastatic cancer cells in which NKX2.1 was off and forced the switch into the on position by adding NKX2.1 back into the cells. This single change made the cells much less capable of metastasizing. The scientists then turned this experiment on its head. They took non-metastatic cancer cells in which the NKX2.1 switch was on and forced the switch off. This caused the cells to begin spreading into other tissues. Through these two experiments, they established that the NKX2.1 switch is directly connected to the control of metastasis. Chapter 5. Next Steps. Important though it is, NKX2.1 is only a small piece of the puzzle of metastasis. The JAX lab is working to figure out exactly how NKX2.1 affects metastasis and what other genes are involved in this process. Through these efforts, they hope to generate new tools to prevent metastasis and better target cancers that have already spread.